Confidence is high. Repeat, confidence is high.
Welcome to a Thursday episode of Talking Busch. This is a Vikings Live edition. I don't know about you guys, but I'm about 3 beers deep because it's my Friday night. How you doing, boys?
Well, it's not my Friday night, so not as good as you, but I'm doing all right at least. 2 beers in.
Not bad.
I just got the kid to bed, so I'm on beer one, but I'm ready to party. So
Plenty of time to play catch up. Just like the Redskins are trying to do, it's 13-6 right now. Vikings leading the Redskins. Vikings with the ball. What do you guys think so far from the game?
I think it's great. The Delvin Cook touchdown at the end of the second half, or end of the second quarter, was a lot of fun. A little too tight for my comfort, but I'll take Delvin Cook touchdowns all day long. So
Less convincing than I think we would have hoped, but the offense feels okay except for a fumble and a few leaky holes in the offensive line. The defense didn't look that great in the first half, but didn't make any terrible mistakes. So still feel like we should be able to widen this thing out in the second half.
Yeah, I still think they end up covering. I mean, there are a few. There's another great play.
Yep. I'm just a little bit ahead of you guys, so I'm being careful not to react on long pass plays like that.
Side note, until Adam can see the play, Aaron Andrews still looks really good. Am I right?
Yes, she does. She may be getting better with age.
Shit. It's like Jennifer Aniston. There's not very many out there. But every now and then you get a lady that as they start to approach their 30s and then their 40s, they look better.
it's not bad, guys, but I can tell you're a couple of years in because they are not getting better. They've reached their peak. So.
Hey,
did you guys see the Aaron Andrews nude video? The people video back in the day?
No, I missed it.
What you're talking about?
Man, I wish Dave and John were here because I guarantee both of them saw it.
The people that are up with pop culture in any way, you're missing those two guys.
This was like 8 years ago. 8 years ago. It was a long time ago. We were probably in college.
Should have been. Maybe I know what you're talking about. I just don't remember. I don't.
Yeah.
What's the video? Maybe. Yeah.
I mean, it was filmed through a peephole at a hotel.
That video. Yeah. I didn't watch it. I certainly know about it. So.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Did you see it? Was there video, the actual video floating around?
Of course there was.
I never saw it.
Amateurs.
More than enough naked ladies on the internet.
I suppose that's true. She won a multi-million-dollar lawsuit over that. So, Stefan Diggs without Adam Thielen or Adam Stefan Diggs.
Sorry,
who's a better wide receiver?
We had definitely had some echoing going on there because Hartman had his own mic on. So sorry about that. We're good though.
Let me re-ask. Diggs without Thielen or Thielen without Diggs? Who's the better receiver?
That's a good question.
I think Thielen without Diggs.
When both of them are on the field, I'll take Thielen 10 times out of 10.
I would too.
But I also feel like I know Diggs is a bit more explosive, a little bit more. He is. If I feel like Thielen could be taken away easier.
I look at what happened last year when Diggs sat out. Thielen lost his streak.
Yeah.
Went 2 games where he didn't do much of anything. Thielen out tonight. Diggs looks just fine.
Yeah, he does. If he can't hold on to the ball this year for whatever reason.
Right.
Catching it or carrying it.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. He's got a little of the AP 2009 in him. Just an explosive big play talent waiting to happen. Mm-hmm. Can't hold the ball.
Yeah, that's right.
Speak of the devil.
Yep. Keeps getting open. Yeah, he likes to give you reasons to be frustrated with him, and then he just keeps making plays. You know what we're talking about, Harmon? Are you there yet?
I do. Yep, okay. I am behind you, not that far behind you. So,
all right.
So, but
You guys want to play a little?
A couple weeks ago, he was
Light.
Or
Busch League.
Sure.
The 49ers are undefeated. They added Emmanuel Sanders this week. They are the best team in the NFC and the favorites for the number 1 seed and home field advantage. Would you say that's
Busch Light.
Or
Busch League.
I think that's Busch League. They're a good team, and the defense is really, really strong, but the offense isn't that strong, and I don't think that we're looking at the second coming of the 2003 Ravens here.
You're really comparing the San Francisco offense to the Ravens when they had Trent Dilfer at quarterback?
I don't know, how many points did they score last week?
Yeah, but that was a bad field. It was like Big Ten football.
I know. I mean, I know Garoppolo's like never loses a game in his entire starting career, but he's got like 3 touchdown passes on the whole year. They just don't. They don't have that many weapons, and Emmanuel Sanders is a good player. I mean, they definitely get better by having him, but they're
He'll help. Kittle's great.
Kittle is great, but he's had a terrible year.
Well, yeah, in part because they're double covering him. If Sanders can bring out some of that pressure. Adam, what's your take?
It's Busch League. They got the record they do because they've been playing the AFC North, and I think most teams will beat up on the Bengals, Browns, and Ravens are all right, but Steelers aren't great, and so I think most teams would get 4 wins playing the AFC North. So I'm not buying their hype.
All right, fair enough.
What do you think, Derek?
I tend to agree with you guys. I think there are a lot of really good teams in the NFC, and the second half of the season, I think a lot of that will show through. I do think the 49ers are going to make the playoffs, and I do think that they have a good chance of winning that division, which is crazy, and actually brings me to my next question. NFC West, 49ers obviously undefeated, Seahawks very good, Rams, everybody thought they would have a cakewalk. That ain't happening. But they're still a good team in playoff contention. And hey, Arizona Cardinals are 500. Is the NFC West the best division in football? Would you call that?
Busch Light.
Or
Busch League.
Well, let's see. Process of elimination here. I think the AFC is definitely out because there's just not any power in the AFC, it seems, aside from the Patriots. The NFC North is very good this year, I think.
it is.
The South probably doesn't have the firepower. The East,
No.
The East is always a question. I mean, it feels like any of those teams can be good. Washington's obviously terrible. Yeah, I think they might be. I mean, either the West or the NFC North, I would say, and probably based on last week's performance by the Bears, I think you probably have to go with the NFC West.
Yeah, the only division that would give them a run for their money is the AFC East. It's not top to bottom is maybe the problem, but the best 2 teams in the AFC both play in that division. It's the Pats and the Bills. So they're top heavy, but then they also have the Dolphins and Jets. So I guess it evens itself out there. So.
Yeah. No, that's a good answer and a good take because the Patriots might not lose, and
Right.
the Bills might end up being the second best team in the AFC, and they're going to end up in a wild card slot.
Yeah.
That said, though, I mean, there's a decent chance the Rams miss the playoffs, given who they got to play, and God, settling for another field goal. Given who they
Vikings with
yeah, not exactly how you drew it up, but again, we're we're a touchdown away from covering. I don't know. I would lean NFC West being the best. I do think the NFC North is strong, but I think that the Lions are going to pack it in here. The Vikings, actually, my opinion is the Vikings caused the Lions to pack it in, and they're going to start to trade some players here and and unload some talent and really kind of go in the toilet. Would you guys say that's
Busch Light.
or?
Busch League.
Are you talking like tank for Tua right now? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, I don't know that they're going to go full on and go for a quarterback, but I do think that they realize that they're not in contention to win the North, and that they're gonna give up some players and make some trades, get some draft picks, and look toward the future.
Yeah, we're 10 days out from them getting screwed out of being in first place in the division.
I know.
That's so. It turns quickly. I know the NFL does, but 10 days ago they were supposed to be top seed in the division. So to have them pack it in this early, I don't think it's going to happen. So.
What about the fact that they traded their starting safety yesterday?
Yep, digs that move. Good. I don't think it means they're packing it in. So,
Matt,
I don't know. Will they be last in the division? Yes. I tend to agree with Harmon, I suppose. I mean, I don't know. It feels like a bit of a weird question because this isn't baseball. This isn't like trades in the NFL don't happen like baseball right before the trade deadline with rental players and liquidating.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
but they're starting to more.
Yeah, that's true. It's been a very active trade season already.
Yep. This is Peter King tweeted today. This is the most active the trade deadline has ever been. I believe it was like 58 trades already have happened since the beginning of the season, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
What's the reason for that, Derek?
There was some speculation on Twitter, and one of the theories is the younger that the GMs get, the more they're less risk averse. They're willing to make trades, make deals, take risks, and try to make things happen. Whereas older GMs were very conservative. They just try to take what they got and make something of it. I don't know if that's totally the case. One obvious reason is that the trade deadline moved back 2 weeks a few seasons ago. And I think that's led to people realizing more that if they're a buyer or if they're a seller, willing to give up picks and bring in players or willing to get rid of players. When the trade deadline was in week 6, it's really hard to know if you're going to be good or not. If you're 3-3, what are you going to do?
Yeah, that's a good point.
But if you fall to 3-5, your odds of making the playoffs are not very good. So
it's different in the NFL too. I feel though, just because you're bad this year doesn't mean you can't be good next year with a very, very similar team. You know what I mean? Like there's not nearly as much rebuilding that happens in football.
Look at him go.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you, but say baseball. The Minnesota Twins could have really used Ryan Presley this year. Maybe not if he was going to pitch like he did last night, but as a whole, that bullpen would have been a lot better if they had him all season.
Yeah.
All season. I didn't think the second half was bad bullpen wise. So
yeah,
trade deadline would have really helped you. It's a good question, but I didn't think the bullpen was the problem the second half of the season.
Yeah, one more NFL trade deadline thought. I think the New England Patriots and Heart Attack both severely overpaid for Mohamed Sanu. Would you call that
Busch Light.
Or
Busch League.
Well, in terms of budget dollars, it's a little different because it's a if you don't spend it, you lose it type of deal. And so, was $7 maybe too much? How many free agent dollars do you have left, Harmon?
18.
Yeah, see, I don't think given that I don't know that he overpaid. But I would agree with you that I'm not overly excited about Mohamed Sanu in New England.
How about the fact that the Patriots gave up a second-round pick for him?
I'm a little bit surprised by that, but who the hell am I to question Bill Belichick? Especially they
I think I got lucky that.
Go ahead, Adam.
I was gonna say I got lucky that Josh Gordon got put in the IR. I think they knew that when they made the move, but
Did
I
you
didn't know
see
that
the
when I
latest
made my
on that?
move.
Josh Gordon
What's
is not. Do you see the latest on Josh Gordon? He's not hurt.
Mm-mm.
He's ready to play.
Oh really?
He's pissed. Yep.
Oh well.
They're probably going to release him actually.
Yeah. Well, he hasn't really done much. I mean, he's a big name
No.
still from the one season that he had, but
I agree. Yeah, I don't know. I just can't imagine giving up a second-round pick for Mohamed Sanu. You know, Falcons third receiver, and you know, I don't know. Last Busch League, Busch Light, I got MJ, Michael Jordan, greatest of all time. MJ does not believe that Steph Curry is a Hall of Famer. Would you say that's
Busch Light.
or?
Busch League.
It's obviously Busch League. Here's the thing: Michael Jordan is probably the best basketball player of all time, but he's a dumbass. He's not the smartest guy. Great basketball player, terrible GM, and he's not real eloquent when you talk to him. He's just he has a tough time putting things together that aren't actually dribbling the ball on the basketball court, in my opinion.
Yeah, we're watching a running back tonight that kind of reminds me of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, that's right. Very similar.
Adam, what do you think?
Yeah, complete Busch League. Steph Curry's the greatest player of the time right now, and so he's an obvious Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he has 2 MVPs. He has how many NBA titles? 3.
Mm-hmm.
And he
and
led them to it for Durant.
And he's the greatest shooter in the history of the NBA.
Yep.
And it's not close.
Literally
It's
most accurate.
not close.
Yep. And
Change
difficulty
the
of shot. Yeah, exactly. The thing is, when we were growing up, we all wanted to be like Mike, right?
Mm-hmm.
The kids growing up now, they don't want to be like Mike.
Nope.
They don't even know who Mike is. They want to be Steph.
Mm-hmm.
You go to a high school game nowadays, kids are launching it from 30 feet.
Yep.
You know, they're trying, man.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Hey,
Let's
we got breaking news here. We're gonna get a live update from the stadium.
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody!
Talk amongst yourselves while we get David Pikus on the line, live from U.S. Bank Stadium. You guys missed
Adam,
talk amongst
what's your
yourself,
opinion of Dave in fantasy football? Is it would you say it's this?
Man, you are one pathetic loser. Boys.
Or David, how you doing?
Nice.
We got a kickoff call him in. Love it.
Dave, tell us a little bit about what's going on
I can't hear
there.
you, so I'll just give a quick update.
Okay.
Stephon Diggs should have fucking not put the ball out for the world to see like he's fucking in 300 in the first quarter. Otherwise, you would have been up a couple more points here. 16-9 right now. That's terrible. 5:11 to go in the third. Big game. Pretty loud here tonight. Decent tickets. Eric did read before the game. A lot of fun. A lot of babes. Decent. Just going to throw it out there. Haven't been to a loss in a football game in Minnesota this year. Go Vikings.
Oh,
Go,
good for you.
Go first. Winning tonight. Here's the boys. Adrian Peterson, decent. Waiting for a fumble.
Thanks, Dave.
That's a live look right there,
Yeah,
boys.
he's showing the picture. We don't have it. I mean, the video's totally screwed up.
Also, did not have any Vikings gear before the game. So, got this.
That's terrible.
That's a great
nice sweater.
shirt.
Decent, but looking to have a good time tonight. Let's go. Skull Vikes. We'll talk to you guys later. Go podcast.
Bye.
Thanks, Dave.
What would you say was better, Dave's 1998 sweater?
Yeah, see, nobody on the podcast could see that because his video being on his phone was different than his computer, so it's totally jacked up.
Well, let me paint a word picture for the audience.
Please
then.
do.
Dave's wearing a gray sweater that looks like it's from the mid 90s, maybe late 90s.
Mm-hmm. It's like the one
block
your
lettering.
Yeah, like your mom probably has had it for like 30 years.
Yep. Dave was also wearing what I would say is a hat from 1991. I'm pretty sure that John Pikus had a hat. It was the M. It's exactly what you would imagine. When Gene Larkin hit the game-winning hit in the 91 World Series, I'm pretty sure that hat was being worn somewhere.
Yeah, that was fun.
Busch League last week. Some had great weeks. Some had not so great weeks. We'll get to the not so great in a second. Let's start with a solid week. Heart Attack 110.3, just drew it 97.4. New England D continues to be an absolute cheat code. It is not even fair right now. 29 points for New England D. Delvin chipped in 27.4 last week. Drew actually had a player worth mentioning, which is the first time in 3 weeks now for him. Jacoby Brissett had 27.6. Dumpster fire rages on. Heart Attack moves on to 6-1.
Pat Steve, like you're saying, I know Phil thinks that he made my team worse by that trade. I do disagree.
Number one team in the league is Phil. He put up 119.7, had a solid week. Easy as ABC, 78.4. That was easy as ABC. That is how you say it.
Not familiar with that team.
Is that in our league?
Darren Waller, 28.1. Jackson, 23.3. Sony Michelle, 21.9 for Phil. For the third week this year, I had my best player on the bench. That was Austin Eckler this week.
Well, why would you start him? It's a backup running back.
I know. Yeah.
You know
Preston
what, Derek?
yeah.
A couple years ago, I drafted QB1, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 3. Like that was the year I dropped Tom Brady when he was he ended up being QB1, and I traded Antonio Brown because I got him on his year that he really broke out, and I thought I was selling high on him, and I was not selling high on him. He was every bit as good as
he was stud. Big play here, 4th and 1, lining up to go for it.
I like the call. I like that we're going for it.
Not gonna like the play call. Not gonna like the play call at all.
It happens. I don't think I've ever had a year quite like this where I just cannot make the right decision. It feels like no matter what I choose, it will be wrong. And I have that feeling again this week.
So now you're trying to come up with what you think would be the right answer and then do the opposite of what you think?
Sort of.
But you don't even know if you're compensating for that in your own brain.
Exactly. I've looked at like player rankings, and like tried to take a consensus. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I do. I'm going to pick wrong. Hence why you've maybe seen some trade offers flying through the airwaves these past few days. Just trying to make something happen. Get some new guys. Maybe I won't pick wrong then.
Well,
Breston.
luckily
Go ahead.
the bottom of the league has way more depth than the top of the league. So as long you're still in the driver's seat, even if you maybe won't catch Jeff. Who knows?
Oh, I know. It would at this point it would be shocking if I didn't make the playoffs.
Playoffs?
Breast implants 105.6, soup du jour 87.7. Josh Allen had 21.3 for the breast implants. Zeke put up 23.7 for Trevor. We were talking last week in picks that breast implants, no way he puts up what he was expected to. He did.
Yes, he did.
How about that? Yeah.
Tim Grieve, after starting off the year slow, 3 wins and looking at a playoff spot potentially.
It's coming along. Dylan Panthers.
He's coming.
111.9. Max Aponte, 85.4. Latavius Murray was the big pickup this week, 29.5 points for him. DeAndre Hopkins had 21.1 in a breakout game for him. He's been cold this year, but put it up as soon as he got traded off of the night train rain. Cousins dropping 29.2 for Team Aponte. Team Aponte had Marvin Jones. It's a really good week last week. He had 4 touchdowns, 38.3 points. He just happened to be on the bench.
Yeah, you know how that feels.
If there's anybody that feels this pain, I do. Big Hoss, 96.9. Pre-snap adjustment, 80. Aaron Rodgers scored 43.8 points for the Big Hoss. That's 45% of Dave's total points. That is an insane number. It's got to be up there among one of the all-time highs. For John, Prescott had 20.6. Edmonds had 34 on the bench as David Johnson does nothing. Let's bring it to one of the worst games of all time in the Busch League.
That's terrible.
In my opinion, that sucked.
Sorry.
Night Train Rain scored 56.6 points. That's an embarrassing number. Embarrassing. The problem is he played the Heartbreak Kid who scored 51.4. So he won.
Yeah,
Matt, are you going to explain yourself?
You know what? I had very good matchups this week. And sometimes your starting quarterback gets hurt early in the game, dislocates his kneecap. And sometimes you trade for receivers who are like wide receiver 2, and then they come to your team, and then they do absolutely nothing like every other receiver that's been on your roster this year. And
maybe it's the coaching.
And sometimes the Cowboys' offense can't find their ass with a stick. That's not saying. But they can't find their ass with the whatever. And
I mean, if you're using a stick to find your ass, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah, sorry. And then they come out and light up the Philadelphia defense for 37 points. Now, granted, I know Philadelphia defense played terrible against the Vikings, but Cowboys offense was not playing well coming into that game at all. Anyways, I felt good about my matchups, and I guess I still won, so good for me. But yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. Worst fantasy football season I've ever had, by a mile.
A few quick facts regarding this game. It is the lowest points in a win since 2007 in the Busch League. That game involved Dave Pikus beating John Thompson. Fun fact: one of the other lowest scoring games in the history of the Busch League also involved Dave Pikus beating John Thompson.
It was the same season, actually.
That is actually a fun fact.
This was the lowest points in a win in the 12-team era. I mean, it's awful.
Yeah, not good. But we're in a different season than what we have experienced before. I'm not gonna make any apologies for my team. My team sucks. That was a bad week, even though my matchups were good. My team sucks. But a lot of teams suck this year. A lot compared to most years.
Your information regarding the all play wins was crazy.
Yeah.
Also, made me feel really, really good because before this season, I have 2 of the most all play win seasons in the history of the league.
Yeah, that one that was top on the list. You actually went 6-6 that year.
I went 6
too.
and 6.
Yeah,
Yep.
ridiculous.
Awful.
Oh no.
Yeah, I went 6-6 and had the most dominant team in the history of the league up till this year.
Yep, that happened.
Yeah. You know though, well, you did make the playoffs though, and then you shit the bed in the playoffs. So
Which was the general track record.
Yeah.
Before last year.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I've literally never missed the playoffs in this league. Just doesn't happen.
Well, that's because you're in the worst division in this league for a long time.
Well, now what's the reason?
Well, okay, your team doesn't suck this year, but you've had bad teams that have made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing about this though is okay, so Phil is the most dominant team in the league this year. The points per game this year is less than amongst the best teams. It's not like there's just less points, and our defense is worth more this year actually. So the average points across the league should be higher, but it's not. It's lower, and it just seems like I don't know. Maybe we're worse managers. Maybe we have more. Derek is a perfect example of lots of points being on the bench. Maybe that's something that's being widespread across the league. But man, it seems like every week, it's like there's a handful of guys that score 40 points, and then everybody else does nothing. You know what I mean? Like it just seems like there's not very much consistency with most players that are. I mean, I remember. You used to be able to get a guy like Lamont Jordan who would have 80 yards and 80 to 120 yards and maybe a touchdown, and you can count on that pretty much every week. Now you have like these super players, and then you have guys that might get 10 yards or they might get 120 yards. You know what I
mean? My whole team.
Well, yeah. I'm not going to sit here and listen to you, bitch. You're still going to make the playoffs.
No, in all seriousness, doesn't it remind you a little bit of the real NFL, though? There's really good teams, really, really good teams. And then there's really shitty teams.
Yeah.
Really, really shitty teams. And the gap is huge. And there's like 1 or 2 teams that's in the middle.
Yeah, and that's true. It's just weird that, like, it's like the whole standard of the entire league in terms of points scored is lowered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just strange. It's strange. It's almost not like the teams that are tops in the league. If you look at points scored and all those things, they're consistent with most years. The difference is that the middle and the bottom is worse, but the top is not necessarily better year on year from a points scored perspective.
Yeah. No, and that's my exact point.
Yeah.
It's like there's so many of our fantasy teams tanking for Tua,
yeah.
but they don't realize that Tua's not going to be like at the end of the tunnel here.
Yeah.
We all get $100 next year in the auction draft. You don't get extra.
Yeah. I don't know what it
is. Let's talk a little week 8, man.
Sure, why don't we? All right, week 8. Starting off, we've got a matchup of the Old Mankato division, the 3-4 Breston Plants visiting the 2-5 Night Train Rain. Tim Grieve favored in this one by call it 4.5.
How embarrassed are you to be Grieve favored over you?
Well, he's got more wins than I do, and more wins than quite a few people in this league. So, not that embarrassed. Embarrassed for my team in general, but not embarrassed relative to Grieve because it happens.
As far as that goes, Grieve has Fournette against a leaky, suddenly leaky Jets defense. He has LaShawn McCoy against the Packers when the Chiefs probably will be running quite a bit. He's got T.Y. Hilton against a crappy Denver defense. I'm going to take Tim Grieve.
Yeah, I'm going to go with myself. I figure I'm due. Don't have my probably best player at quarterback, but hopefully Jameis Winston is going to have one of the 4 touchdown type of games and not one of the 4 interception type of games.
Betting on good Jameis.
Yep.
Adam?
I think Grieve's got this.
All right.
All right, moving on to our next game. Just Drew it. Drew Vogt taking on John Thompson. Drew is a 10-point favorite. And
Wrong. Proved over and over.
That's got to be wrong.
Yeah, unfortunately for John, not great matchups this week. Only projected for 94 points.
Ouch. Still. Besides for Julio Jones and Keenan Allen, who Drew will not trade, refuses to trade. Doesn't matter how good of offer you give him, you will not trade him. His team is terrible. Brissett, Marvin Gordon.
You know what though?
Melvin Gordon, who shoot.
Brissett's been pretty damn good.
He had a good week last week.
No, he's been good. He's QB 15. He's not, but he's better than I thought he was going to be.
Backup quarterback.
Yeah, he is, but better than I thought he was going to be, I guess.
Melvin Gordon, who should be a backup running back. If you watch the games, because I watch all the Chargers games, he's the backup.
Do you have Eckler?
Yeah, of course I do.
Yeah, of course. Melvin Gordon should be the backup.
Mixon looks terrible this year.
Yeah. Cincinnati looks terrible.
Some guy named Everett at tight end from the Rams. This new pickup from Detroit. What's his Ty Johnson?
Ty Johnson.
Yeah.
Maryland running back.
Boy, John, get your shit together and go win a game. What do you say? I'm going John.
Yeah, I'm going John too. I think he's going to rally the troops this week. I got faith in him. John for the win.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Drew. Daniel Jones. I don't like Daniel Jones at quarterback. I don't think he get nearly as big a game. From Arizona offense, he's got Edmonds now at running back. They're playing New Orleans, who incidentally might be the best team in the NFC. And not a believer in Sutton yet. Sterling Shepard, I don't like either. I don't see a lot of firepower there. I'm going Drew.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Betting on the dumpster fire.
And that's right. Do it, Drew. Our next game, and already well underway in this one with 2 players playing on each side. The Heart Attack, Adam Hartman taking on Heartbreak Kid. And Hartman off to a good start here. Dalvin Cook with 21.8 points. Stephon Diggs with 14.7. He's got a projected.
Add another point to Diggs. He just caught a 5-yard pass.
All right, another point to Diggs. Hartman's projected out to 126.3. Heartbreak Kid, 3.7 out of BC Johnson. Not getting much there. Minnesota defense is playing all right. They got a couple turnovers, 18.4 points. But his projection is for 98.3 points, and his defense is playing. So we all know how that works with the defenses being projected in-game to be much higher than what they end up being. So huge line here. 30-point favorite as we sit today, and it's probably 35 by the end of the game, I would guess.
Yep, and I think he probably covers that. Tim Lang's team is not great.
He did score 191 points this year.
You know what? One time.
Yeah, one time is right.
Every blind squirrel can find a nut once.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going Hartman also. I imagine Hartman is going with Hartman.
Yeah, I might lap him. I'm going to try to lap him, get 100 points over him, and think it might happen. So I'm going betting on myself this weekend.
Looks like another special teams player of the week performance happening here in this game. Dan Bailey knocks in another field goal. It's 19-9 Vikings over the Redskins.
You know, it's this has never felt like we've been in jeopardy of losing this game. I just would like it if they space out,
Could you punch in one touchdown, please?
Let's widen this thing out a little bit. Just put it away. Okay, our next game, Dillon Panthers. Jeff King taking on Soup du Jour. No players going in this game. Dillon Panthers projected for 115.6, which is a huge projection, about as big as we've seen all year. Soup du Jour projected out for 99.3, so 16 and a half point favorite. Call it for Jeff going into this one.
That's a big spread, and I think there's a reason. Trevor's team is okay in terms of our league. Despite Jeff making some terrible trades and bad decisions, he's also made some good pickups.
Yep.
Jeff is a
been active on the wire.
Manager.
He's active on the wire, and I actually think his team is good. I'll give Jeff a little run here. I'll say Jeff will take it here.
Yeah, I think in our trade, the one that involved Saquon Barkley, I think most of the league would have thought that that was strongly in my favor. It hasn't turned out that way at all. DeAndre Hopkins had a big game last week, and Saquon Barkley just came back from injury, and he had an okay game last week. But I got to take Jeff. Jeff can do no wrong right now. He picks someone up, they're going for 20 points, guaranteed.
This league's got to stop putting so much red tape on Jeff and just let him run his own damn team. He's doing just fine.
He is.
But he's not going to win this weekend. Soup's going to pull it out with the running back tandem of Gurley and Zeke. So
there's the friendship vote that we all knew was coming.
Put that one on the board, Drew. Ezekiel Elliott's on his bye this week, so
doesn't matter. Team support. Still going Soup.
Cool story, Hansel.
Friendship.
Thanks, Olaf.
That was greatest. All right, number one in the standings, number one in the power rankings. Nobody's hearts at this point, although he hasn't started rubbing it in all that bad yet. Peppy Kids projected for 112.5, taking on Dave Pikus. Dave Pikus with a 104.5, so 8-point favorites for the Peppy Kids in this one, and nobody going.
Peppy Kids is missing his superstar, his kind of X factor. Lamar Jackson's on bye this week. He is the number one quarterback in the NFL right now.
Yes, he is.
So that's a huge difference. It's last year I took Pat Mahomes all the way as the number one quarterback. It helps to have that extra 5 points a game. That being said, unless Dave is going to get 45 points out of Rodgers again, he's probably not going to win. So I'll go with Phil.
He's got Kamara. Dave's got Kamara in there. Is he going to play?
Questionable.
Yeah, and without Kamara, he's got Peterson on the bench, so that one's already spent. Tariq Cohen would be his next backup if he had to move Kamara. Yeah, I'm going Peppy Kids. I'm not going to bet against Peppy Kids until something changes.
Give that Peppy Kid a prize. He's going to beat Pike this week.
And that was your cheese ball line of the night.
You know the song, Derek.
It's a great song.
It's a great song.
All right, our last matchup, easy as a basey.
Easy as A, B, C.
Yeah, that's what I said. Projected for 109.6. Max Aponte, 3.2 points on the night, starting Kyle Rudolph. He's projected for 95.3. And so we've got about a 14-point spread in favor of Bisai.
Daddy was a no-talent pussy, but at least he listened.
The only question is, do I have the right people in?
If the answer is no.
Yeah. The answer is no. Yeah, that's right.
I'm honestly still hardcore debating whether to put Eckler in. He is the number 3 running back on the season. Even with Melvin Gordon, he's still averaging a really good clip. I don't know. I'll take myself just because, but most likely if I bench, Derrick Henry or Mike Evans, they'll go off for 40 and I'll lose. So who knows?
Yeah, I don't know if that's most likely. That's going to happen. Whoever you bench is going to go off. So that's why I'm taking Max. I think he's got a better team. I think he's a better manager.
He doesn't have a better team. That's not true. Look at Max's roster. Jared Goff.
Who's got a better record? You're a Max.
Royce Freeman. Marvin Jones.
I don't know if you heard
Kyle Rudolph. Devontae Parker. Jordan Howard. He starts all those guys. All of them.
Phenomenal man. He can have a better record with those players.
There's no argument that Max is a better manager. Separate side topic. True. His team is far worse.
He's got more wins, and you play to win the game.
I actually think.
Are you high or just incredibly stupid?
I think the two teams are pretty evenly matched if they're all healthy and not on bye weeks. Unfortunately, Max has got Thielen injured tonight and Mark Ingram also on a bye. For that reason, I'm taking Derek.
Woo!
And
we shall see.
That's all we got.
This week, the moron of the week just kind of fell in our laps.
What an idiot! Oh, what a loser! Good. More for me and you. Man, you are one pathetic loser. You're a moron!
Who is this imbecile? Where is he?
I wish I knew.
This week's moron of the week, the entire Houston Astros organization. Not only are they down 2-0 in the World Series, their assistant GM is a really true moron, and he actually no longer is the assistant GM as of about 2 hours ago.
Oh, really?
Brandon Taubman is his name. The story goes, after the Astros win, they beat the Yankees. Roberto Osuna, a known woman beater, saved the game for them. And this moron turns to 3 female reporters and says, "Thank fucking God we got Osuna." And then repeated it 2 more times.
Was he drunk?
Clearly, I have no answer, man. He's a moron. I do not know if he's drunk. The worst part of the story probably is the Astros just categorically denying it happened. Just saying, nope, you made that story up. Well, in 2019, when we have smartphones and basically cameras everywhere, you can't just deny a story just because you don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
All the reporters came out for the SI reporter that wrote the story and was like, no, that actually happened. The Astros then released a statement that they admitted it maybe happened, and their apology said that we're sorry for the disrespectful language. Nothing to do with the actual story itself.
Gross.
Today the guy
gross.
got fired.
Yeah, but it feels gross watching that team and watching them potentially win. Feels gross.
I will never. I am cheering for the Nationals.
Yeah.
Have you been to Houston? The whole city's gross.
I have been to Houston, yeah.
I did like the Texans Stadium. I may have been about 6 beers deep, or potentially 8. But I thought the stadium was nice. The Texas
It
Tech
was a while
fans,
ago that I've been there, but
the Texas Tech fans that were there when we were kicking their ass,
yeah.
they didn't seem to complain too much.
That was a fun trip. Roll the boat, Sky Yuma.
Go Gophers.
Mm-hmm.
Mideke Car Care Bowl? Is that what that was?
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Should be in line for a better one this year.
Hopefully. Let's keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have a big game this week, honestly. Maryland's quarterback's back. Their best playmaker's back. I know they're 15-point favorites, but I don't know if it's that big a difference. And the Gophers historically have had trouble against Maryland. They're going to need to come into this game and take control.
Mm-hmm.
Really, dominate the line of scrimmage, both sides of the ball, and open up that pass game. It's got me a little nervous.
Yeah, it feels like a trap game. That's for sure. Feels like number one example of a trap game.
Exactly.
Everybody's thinking 8-0, Penn State, let's go.
Yeah, I admittedly have been skipping ahead for about 3 weeks, looking at the schedule, and now when this game comes up, and the quarterback comes back, who is a good player, it's a different ballgame. I think it'll be a close game. It's going to be a beautiful day on Saturday. The tailgating is going to be A+. ESPN was on the old Twitter machine asking which tailgates they should check out around the U of M campus. About half of the people that responded to that responded with our tailgate.
Nice.
So tune into ESPN. You will probably see us somewhere on there drinking some Uda Pills beer and eating a few tacos.
Sweet. I won't be able to watch it. I'll be giving the old "Go Big Red" chant this weekend.
Oh, good for you.
For those of you that haven't been paying attention, Phil has designed a beautiful hat. He's got a logo. You can do a few different designs with the hat itself. It's a good looking lid. All the members of the Busch League should be interested. Anybody that's a loyal listener of this podcast should be interested. Get in contact with Phil. Look at the examples. I think you're going to be able to put together a really good looking hat.
Oh my gosh! You know what, guys? Sorry. Definitely buying a hat myself. I hope you all do it. I'm way behind on the live chat. We've got Dave Pikus weighing in from the game, telling me to get a haircut, and Rob Fandrich.
Wow.
Tuning in.
Who?
One of Dave's buddies from St. John's, and he says, "Hartman, you're a bitch. Train, you're a bitch. Two Hartmans, both bitches.
That's terrible.
This podcast is electric."
I mean, we are great. There's no doubt about that.
He's trying to put one of those things.
Yeah, I wish that I had the time. I don't know how long ago that was, but thanks, Rob.
Well,
go get a hat. Everybody get a hat.
Yeah, get a hat. You want a maroon and gold hat? Make it happen. You want some ugly piece of shit black and yellow hat? You can do that too.
Mm-hmm.
You can make a purple and yellow one. I mean, the options are endless here.
That a baby Madsen. Holy cow.
I am a flag, of course, because why wouldn't there be? As a whole, I was, at the time of the drafting Madison, I thought it was an extreme reach. Granted, I saw probably one or two Boise State games. He's a really good running back, and if Dalvin Cook misses time, I don't think that they would stumble. It would hurt because I really, really believe that Dalvin Cook's the best running back in football. or either 1A, 1B with McCaffrey.
Mm-hmm.
But Madison is really good, and he's way more explosive than I expected.
Yeah. He keeps getting more run, too, and I think he deserves it. Honestly, keep Dalvin fresh. I love it. I think it's great.
Agreed. And I would not put in their third and fourth running backs when you have Madison, who, is getting 3 or 4 carries a game.
Yeah.
Give him more.
Yep.
Another flag. 1st and 20, he busts off 10. Another flag.
And another flag. Refs suck, man. Every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from the NFL all the way down to high school. Do you know a single ref that you like? Because I do not.
No. They're all turds.
Speaking of that, is the reffing season over?
It is. Yep. High school football games. The first round of playoffs was Tuesday, and that's the season. So
you weren't picked to do some playoff games?
Not this year.
Too bad. I look forward to one year watching you in a state championship game, throwing a flag for pass interference when it obviously wasn't.
They get replay now. Those calls are reviewable too.
Wow.
Of course they do.
Wow.
Well, everybody, it's been a great podcast. It's fun doing it during the Vikings game.
Hey, I got a game, and I'm not wasting it. Spent a lot of time working on it.
Let's do it then.
Okay. All right.
Do you want to play a game?
All right, we're going quick. This is wide receivers versus running backs is the theme. I got a couple trivia questions, and then we're gonna do. You'll see. I got the top 35 players ranked by my WAR calculation, wins against replacement. So what does that mean? That means that Will Fuller is not a top wide receiver because one good game is only worth one win, right? So we're trying to figure out which ones have been the best all year long. Of the top 35 running backs and wide receivers, how many running backs, how many wide receivers?
I'm gonna say 20 running backs and 15 wide receivers.
Nailed it. First try. Attaboy.
Boom.
Woo! So on his face, not a terribly bad split, but here's where it gets kind of crazy. How many top 5, this is based on draft dollars spent, top 5 running backs, top 5 wide receivers based on draft dollars. How many of each of those are in this top 35? So that means how many top 5, you said we had 20 running backs. The top 5 running backs, how many of them are in the top 20? The top 5 wide receivers, how many are in the top 15?
Sure. As a whole, in this general thing, running backs never seem to hold up. It's always some randoms that are up there. This year, Austin Eckler is the number 3 running back. I can tell you that. Christian McCaffrey and Delvin Cook would be the 2 that I would say are in it for running backs. I can't think of another big name running back that's having a banner season. So I'm assuming Delvin was a top 5 running back in draft dollars. I don't know that for a fact, but that would give me 2 running backs. Wide receivers, I think
you're misunderstanding the question a little bit. Is how many of the top 5 running backs are in the top 20? So if the top 5 running backs, that's the right answer.
I think that's the right answer.
That's the right answer. 5 running backs. What about receivers? How many of the top 5 wide receivers are in the top 15 or the top 35 scorers at running back and wide receiver?
Is the answer all of them again?
It's not, no.
Yeah, I don't think we understand.
So I'm looking at a list of the top 35 players.
Yep.
Sure.
I have another list of the wide receivers and running backs that went for the most money.
Right.
Of the top 5 wide receivers that went for the most money in this year's scoring, how many of them are in the top 35 running back and wide receivers?
Okay. So I didn't understand the question. I just didn't think it was all of them.
Oh. Okay.
Wide receivers, top 15. DeAndre Hopkins, I do actually think he's a top 15 wide receiver, even though he has not played that well.
Devontae Adams has been out.
Yeah, he's been hurt.
Antonio Brown, I don't know if he got drafted high, but obviously he's been a bust.
Yep. Diggs would not be a great WAR wide receiver, even though he's come on hot late. Julio Jones. Maybe 2. I'll go with 2.
Close. Correct answer is 3. Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, and DeAndre Hopkins is wide receiver 9 all of a sudden.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Nope.
Go get it, buddy.
Same question, but the top 10. How many of the top 10 running backs are in the top 35 running backs, wide receivers, and how many of the top 10 wide receivers? Give it a ballpark guess.
8 running backs.
10 running backs.
6 running backs.
Okay. And wide receivers.
All 10
so
running
out of
backs
15
are in the top 20. All 10 of the most paid for running backs are in the top 20. To your point, not common.
Okay. And wide receivers out of 15, I'll say 7.
3. Same 3 guys.
3.
Wow.
How many of the top 15? Now we're going to top 15. Top 15 running backs drafted. Top 15 wide receivers drafted. How many are in the top 35 players?
Running backs, I'll go 13. Wide receivers, I will go 7.
Pretty close. Armin?
I'll go 14 running backs, and I'll go 9 receivers. I think it evens out as you get later into the rankings.
It in fact does not. 12 running backs, 5 wide receivers.
Ooh.
And then the last one. We lost Derek here for a minute, but Hartman, how many undrafted players at running back and at wide receiver are in the top 35 scoring between those two positions?
Undrafted. Say 8.
How many running backs, how many wide receivers?
No running backs, 8 receivers.
No running backs is correct. 4 undrafted wide receivers in the top 15.
Wow.
Catch that, Derek?
No, can you repeat it for me?
How many undrafted at each position in the top 35? Top 15 wide receivers, top 20 running backs.
Adam, did you draft Chris Godwin?
Yes.
Good for you. If I was paying attention to the previous answers, I'd probably already have this answer down. I will say 5 undrafted.
4 undrafted wide receivers are in the top 15.
0 undrafted running backs.
0 running backs.
Yeah.
Okay. Last one that we're going to speed through in our game. I'm going to go the top. We're going to start with the top running back and the top wide receiver. And you're going to tell me which one is higher. And we're going to continue to move through the list and go one by one. So, number 1 wide receiver is Chris Godwin. Number 1 running back, now Dalvin Cook, recently overtaking Christian McCaffrey in WAR. Who's higher?
I will take
Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin Cook.
All right. So Chris Godwin.
Does one team have both those players?
One team does.
That would be a pretty good team, I bet.
One team does. Yes, they do.
Huh.
Chris Godwin or Christian McCaffrey?
McCaffrey.
Chris Godwin or Austin Eckler?
Fuck Austin Eckler. I'll take him because I know he's been really good. Consistent, scoring a lot of points. There's no reason I bench him, but I did.
Eckler.
Eckler's right. Ezekiel Elliott or Chris Godwin?
Here's where I switch. I go to Godwin.
I'll stick with Zeke.
Zeke it is. Chris Godwin or Nick Chubb?
Now I switch to Godwin.
It's Chubb. Chris Godwin or Aaron Jones?
Fuck Aaron Jones too. Godwin?
It's Jones.
Jesus.
Chris Godwin or Leonard Fournette?
Are you giving them wins above replacement if they're on the bench?
Yes. It's
Makes sense.
Yep. Chris Godwin.
Who was the next running back?
Leonard Fournette.
Fournette. Okay. I mean, I don't know. I'll stick with Godwin. It's got to change eventually.
I'll go Fournette.
Godwin it is.
Woohoo!
Leonard Fournette or Michael Thomas?
Fournette.
Fournette's right. Michael Thomas or Derrick Henry?
Michael
Another
Thomas.
running back that I own, by the way. Just saying. Derrick Henry.
It's Michael Thomas. All right. Derrick Henry or Amari Cooper?
Amari Cooper.
Big games, but
Derrick Henry.
I'll go with Derrick Henry. Yeah.
Derrick Henry. David Johnson or Amari Cooper?
David Johnson.
Cooper.
David Johnson.
You always pick the wrong one, Derek.
Mark Ingram or Amari Cooper?
I guess Ingram.
Cooper it is.
It's Ingram. Josh Jacobs or Amari Cooper?
I did not expect Josh Jacobs to be as good as he was.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
I will take Josh Jacobs.
I'll take Cooper.
Josh Jacobs it is. Chris Carson or Amari Cooper?
Cooper.
Chris Carson. Alvin Kamara or Amari Cooper?
Cooper.
You can't say both, Derek.
No, I can't believe Kamara is that high, honestly, because he has not done that much. I mean, it's been a really down year.
Yeah.
It's Alvin Kamara.
Outrageous. So what you're saying, Matt, is wide receivers this year?
Buzz, your girlfriend. Woof.
Yes, indeed. So that's the top 15 running backs and wide receivers. 13 of the top 15 are running backs.
Whew. That's wild.
That means, all it takes for a wide receiver to make a like 10 position jump is to have 100 yards and a touchdown, and they jump 100 yards, or 10 points rather.
Yeah, I mean we saw proof with Will Fuller in the Will Fuller game. You jumped 50 positions for one game. That's damn near impossible.
Yep.
Except this year's wide receivers are so damn hit and miss.
Yep. DJ Chark or Marlon Mack? Just picking a couple out of the pack here.
I still can't believe DJ Chark is a real person, so I'd pick Marlon Mack.
It's got to be Mack.
DJ Chark, number 22. Marlon Mack is 27.
DJ Chark. Mike Zimmer walking on the field. This game is over, boys. 19-9. Not exactly how they drew it up.
Yeah, not overly exciting, but we'll take the win.
A lot of field goals. Defense didn't look great. They gave up 9 points. I mean, you can't be upset giving up 9 points.
Yep. Good ball control. Ran the ball very well. Kept the defense off the field. That helped things.
Didn't show much. I mean, there was no razzle dazzle.
No.
Got the win. Didn't show much. KC, I'll take it.
They also lost Keenum early in the game.
Yeah, halftime. He played the first half and then was out the rest of the game. All right, boys. Anything else to add?
Nope. That's all I got.
Good show. Saturday, big game for the Gophers. Sunday, good luck to everybody in fantasy football. I hope I finally picked the right lineup. We'll see y'all next week.
Bye.
All right. Woo!
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic idiotic things I've ever heard.
Busch, your girlfriend. Woof.